Okay, I think I'm live. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel, and this is my review for the second episode of The Mandalorian, which dropped yesterday. I was going to do a review yesterday. Unfortunately, though, I had issues because my work schedule kind of got changed, and so they wanted me to come in later in the day, which kind of screwed up the time that I was going to be able to do my live review of The Mandalorian, because I was going to go see Ford v Ferrari, which I ended up seeing last night. So a lot of stuff kind of got a lot of stuff kind of got rearranged, and so I had to put this until today. But hey, it works out just fine because Saturday afternoon is usually a good time anyway. But anyway, guys, we are going to go deep into this one. If you have any comments, or if you want to talk about what you thought about this episode, jump down either in the chat right now, live, or you can jump down in the comment section once the video is posted after it's been live, and share your thoughts on this episode. And what do you think of the series so far as a whole? It's only been 2 episodes, so small sample size really is the name of the game thus far. So let's kind of dissect a little bit into this episode. This episode sees the Mandalorian, as he now has Baby Yoda, as everyone is coining him as Baby Yoda. We don't know his name yet. And they are traveling to try to get back to, so that way the Mandalorian can collect his bounty. And they get into a little bit of a run-in with the Jawas, who have really stolen from his ship certain parts that he needs in order to have his ship successfully kind of get off of the ground. And he has a run-in with the Jawas, and he has to go and kind of complete a task for the Jawas in order to trade for his parts. So yeah, this was a great episode, in my opinion. I think this was a really good, strong second episode after a first episode. And let me talk about a little bit about some of the negatives about this episode. I don't really have a lot. My first problem with this episode is I wish that they would have done a little bit more into explaining a bit into the Mandalorian's history, because the first episode gave us a glimpse of that, and I was hoping that we get a small fracture of that as well in this episode, but we didn't get that, and it's a little unfortunate, but it's okay. My second issue, and probably the biggest issue, honestly, is that yes, they never said exclusively how long each episode was going to be, but we all thought it was going to be, an hour long episodes, and so far it has been nothing but 30-minute episodes. And so I mean, it definitely leaves a little bit more to desire. And so I really hope that we can get to a point where the episodes get a little longer and they become they don't go by so fast, because that's the one thing that I have a problem with, is that these episodes go by really quickly. And so 60 minutes goes by this week, and that's 2 episodes of The Mandalorian right there. So I wish that we had a little bit more time with these characters, and I wish that they could make the show 50-minute episodes. But I will say this, I feel like the runtime definitely served the purpose of this episode, because it wasn't too long. They didn't overextend, they didn't exasperate, and they did things that seemed to kind of go along with where we were from the first episode in terms of where this episode went to. And my third thing, and I just noticed this the second time I watched it, which was, literally minutes before doing this review, is that at one point they're fixing the ship, and it just felt weird. This whole fixing the ship montage, it seemed a little Rocky Balboa to me. There was something about it that just kind of, I didn't really like the aesthetic, to be honest, and I didn't feel like it was something that fit into Star Wars per se. But it's not terribly done or anything like that. It's not something that, like, I want to skip that scene every single time I watch it. It's kind of an important scene, but was it necessary to the episode? Maybe not. But I don't know. Again, they do have moments where it feels a lot like an animated show. I think the first episode more so than this one, but this episode, obviously, we get Baby Yoda, who has probably the funniest moment where he swallows the frog whole and it into his mouth, and it's funny in a sense that it feels like something that an animated show would do that wouldn't make sense maybe live action, but it also reminded me of like Boba Fett back in the original trilogy when he would just shove things in his mouth in Return of the Jedi, and he was really, like he was a slob. And Baby Yoda isn't a slob. He does it with grace, and it's really cute. And yeah, anything with Baby Yoda in this episode is absolutely adorable, and he's on screen a lot. So that I think that might be saying something that he might be this baby might be the second biggest character in this show. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. It's a little early, a little premature to tell, but honestly, I really loved what they did with these characters. Now, the one thing that I really love about this show so far, and they've established this in 2 episodes, this really is about the Mandalorian. This is a story about one guy individually. Yes, there are other people, there are other obstacles like in the way of this one guy, but they tell the story from a perspective of showing us what he is going through, and it really is a central story to the Mandalorian himself. Other characters, Nick Nolte's character is great, Baby Yoda is great. Even having those nice little nostalgic moments of kind of placing in like the Jawas or things of that nature. IG-11. I mean, all of those things are kind of outside resources that the Mandalorian has in the show to kind of move his narrative along, but he truly is the central figure and central character of this show, and I really like that they do that. So that's one of the things that I really loved. And this episode definitely shows that it's going to focus on him more so than maybe some of us had anticipated coming in, even though the show is titled The Mandalorian, but you never know. You never know. Let me talk about another thing that I really liked as well from this episode. I really like the fact that this is kind of a self-contained adventure within this episode or within this series, because it's the second episode. People could probably say that it's filler, but to me, it never feels like filler. It feels like something that you'd find in like a video game, kind of like a side quest to go and do. And I think that's a lot of fun because it kind of brings a little bit more levity to the series as a whole. And it also shows that this series is going to want to follow the steps chronologically in order, so that way we can understand where the Mandalorian is, where he's going, and how he's going to get there. So I think that that's really nice to see. We're not kind of just jumping from here to there, from here to there. And it feels very self-contained in the fact that this episode feels like it truly fits as the sequel episode to the premiere. So I really like all of those aspects of this episode. And the Jawas I thought was a really nice touch. The only thing I will say is I could have done without the whole egg eating scene. Like that was just kind of weird in my opinion. But in any regard, I mean, this is a show that it has a Western feel. It's going for that Western vibe, and I love it. It feels like a Western. This truly feels like what we should have gotten with Solo, something that takes place almost in a Western setting, and the characters are very gritty and very intense, and they kind of have their own roughness or ruggedness to them that makes them so captivating, and you're just so zoned in onto what is happening in the story. So I really enjoyed that aspect of this show so far, is the fact that it does feel like a Western, and it feels like original trilogy. I said that in the first episode review, and I'm going to say that again here. This truly feels like something that we could find in the original trilogy, and it fits. It really fits. Now, as far as predictions go, I was wrong because I thought he was going to go to Werner Herzog's character and basically not take this asset back. I still think he's not going to take the asset back to Werner Herzog, and he's going to protect it. But the interesting thing is, I didn't see an episode like this coming to where it's almost kind of like a side quest, and I really like that we got that, because I think the next episode there's going to be more tension, and especially in terms of where we go from here. The Mandalorian has the asset. Now he's going to go to Werner Herzog's character, and I think he's going to figure out what they're going to do to this asset. And he has to realize, this is a moral dilemma that he faces. And I think he's going to do the right thing. I think being the fact that, you know, being a bounty hunter is so dangerous, and it is one of those professions that's sleazy and just not right, even though it's really going above the law to bring the law to other people. And so I think that this character is going to change significantly, and he's going to say, you know what? I want to make sure that I'm not the same person that I was. And I feel like having flashbacks in in this season of The Mandalorian is going to help kind of drive that point home. Basically, talking about that's who I was in the past. Now it's time to move forward into the future and try to do good. And so I really think that there's still that element that this character can become essentially the good guy, because right now, yes, he's the protagonist. Is he the good guy? We don't really know. A lot has been undiscovered with this character and really his origin and how this character is kind of going to move forward. Now, I'm not saying an origin has to be the answer for every single thing, because it doesn't, and I hate when a lot of stories try to do that. But this story feels like an origin would fit for this character. It'd give us a little bit more context into how he thinks, how he feels, and possibly why he's going to do what he's going to do moving forward. Because essentially you want to root for your protagonist, and this is going to be a character that we can root behind and root for, but we haven't seen in what way they're going to let us, the audience, in on, so that way we can root for this character and have a great time with it. Because honestly, so far this show has been just 70 minutes so far. We've seen an hour of this show, a little over an hour. And the thing that has kind of stuck out to me is the fact that this show seems to not want to deviate from its original point, which is make a Western inside of the Star Wars universe with a character like the Mandalorian who can really do some amazing things, but he also has challenges along the way. This episode, we get to see him beat up, okay? He gets beat around in this episode, and it makes it kind of interesting because it shows that he's not the super powerful, like almighty Mandalorian that a lot of people think that the Mandalorians are, because there's one great line by Nick Nolte's character in this episode, and when the Mandalorian comes back and he says, I'm surprised that you waited," and Nick Nolte's character says, "I'm surprised it took you so long." That just shows right there that this is a different guy. This is not a typical Mandalorian that you would think if you knew what Mandalorians really were. And so that's an interesting concept, that he is not going to be this super powerful, almighty Mandalorian that a lot of people proclaim all of them are. So I'm really fascinated by this. I think that there's a lot more to go in terms of where this character can be and how they're going to try to make this a little bit more flushed out in terms of the character dynamics and when certain people are going to come in. Gina Carano, we still haven't seen her yet. We've seen a little bit of, Werner Herzog and the rest of the guys, but this really is a Mandalorian story, and I think it's really apparent that this whole show is going to focus on this one character. So one thing I wanted to talk about, and this is a question that has kind of come up in my mind as I've watched this episode twice now. I watched it yesterday morning and I watched it today, minutes before coming on here, probably about 20 minutes ago. I just finished it. So the question that I pose is that with this Baby Yoda, again, we don't know the name of this character yet. Nothing has really been revealed about this character, this species. But there's some interesting questions that can be drawn up because apparently very force sensitive. as a baby, as a child. And the fact that this child can control the Force in the way that it does is insane. Because Jedi training is something that, yes, the Force lives through any moving thing. With Ryan Johnson's Last Jedi, say what you want about the film. I know a lot of people don't like it, and I don't want to talk too much about liking it or not liking it, but it brings up a particular question that anyone can use the Force. Essentially, anyone can manipulate the Force and use it, and have that Force be a part of their life and their livelihood. Now, the interesting thing though is even though anybody can use the Force, honing in on the Force, having control of the Force is different. It takes years of training, it takes years of preparation. You can't just waltz into it and all of a sudden be able to hone in all of your capabilities, especially as a child. Children are very strong with the Force, but the problem is it's kind of like, have you ever heard of a baby rattlesnake and a rattlesnake? A rattlesnake, yes, it's very effective. You can die if you get bit by a rattlesnake. But there also is a possibility that you could live. Baby rattlesnakes, however, they cannot control how much venom they input into someone else's body. Therefore, there's a very good chance you will die. So there's almost this way that the older that something gets, the more control it has over a certain capability or ability. And I'm sorry that you guys are seeing this light coming in. The sun is outside and our window is kind of peeked open a bit. But anyway, so that's one thing that is very interesting. I can't even talk. I sound dumb. Is that this Baby Yoda, again, I'm not coining the name Baby Yoda. I hate that people are calling it that, but we don't know anything about this character yet. So I'm just going to keep calling it that and use parentheses. The fact that it can use the Force and it can control the Force in the way that it does is something absolutely incredible. And it makes me wonder that can all creatures of this magnitude use the Force and manipulate the Force and control it so well like this? We know Yoda is, in my opinion, he's the most powerful Jedi. And a lot of people have said that he's also the most powerful Jedi as well. But there are other people out there, theorists, who believe that he's not, which I don't agree with. But the thing is I get that there's so much power there, but honing in on that power, that takes a lot more power than just being able to use the Force. Controlling and being able to use the right amount of force in order to manipulate an object, that definitely takes time. And so it really raises a lot of questions for me in how this is possible. And I feel like this show isn't necessarily going to answer that. It's not. And I think the only thing that we might ever hear is that this creature is strong with the Force. That's it. They won't acknowledge the fact that it can control the Force and manipulate it in a way that is adult-like, that took years of training from a lot of people. I mean, really, even Padawans, a lot of, the teenage Padawans, maybe early Anakin episode 2 Padawans, those Padawans had trouble controlling the Force because there's almost an output that you're trying to put forth and you're putting in all this effort and you're also trying not to drain yourself. And that is one difference here, but this is a child, and the fact that it could use the Force in this magnitude and control that's incredible. That's amazing. And so it really raises a lot of questions. Now, Baby Yoda is the cutest freaking thing on the planet. They're so smart too. I'll say this. Disney, they know what they're doing at times, because guess what? Porgs. I thought the Porgs were cute creatures in Last Jedi. I was like, they don't really serve any purpose to the story, but they sold a lot of toys. They stole a lot of stuffed animals. A lot of people love those Porgs, baby. There's Porg shirts all over the place. This is my Captain America shirt, by the way. So, Marvel's obviously, again, Disney. And they're smart in the fact that they know they're going to sell a lot of toys with this Baby Yoda. They know that the great coined saying, the saying of the year, "I have spoken," is going to sell like hotcakes. People are going to buy those shirts. They're going to buy phone cases. They're going to buy all that stuff, wallpapers, etc., of this character saying, I have spoken," which to me is absolutely cool because I think it's just one of those things that really sticks out, and it's almost like Disney, they know exactly how to market. I mean, they're one of the best marketing companies in the world. And they know exactly what they're going to do in order to, make money. They know how to make money. And the character of Kulil, which is by Nick Nolte, which by the way I just looked up because I'm tired of saying Nick Nolte's character. I hate doing that. I really need to be more adversed, even though they haven't really said his name. I don't believe they might have in the first episode. But anyway, they know exactly how to market. They know exactly what characters to introduce. And I guarantee Last Jedi, they're going to bring in some cute character. And, it is what it is. I mean, they know how to sell toys. And so that's one thing too, is a lot of this show, it feels like certain aspects of it are going to be very merchandise appropriate. And whether it be, the toy gun that the Mandalorian has, whether it be, or the toy rifle that the Mandalorian has, whether it's Baby Yoda, whether it be, IG-11s and things of that nature, Disney's just, they know how to do business. They know how to make that green and that paper, and who can fault them for that, really? Who can? But honestly, guys, this was a great episode. I thought it wasn't as good as the first episode, I'll say. It definitely felt better directed because you had a real director who's directed live action before behind the helm. And his name's Rick Fukuyama, I think. I think it's Rick Fukuyama. Let me just double check. Fukuyama, yeah, Rick Fukuyama. No, it's not. Wait, what? What is his name, guys? Hold on. I can look this up. Let's see. Rick Famuyiwa. That's who it is. Okay, that's who it is. I feel stupid because I knew that, and for some reason I said Fuki. I don't even remember what I said. Fukiyaga or something like that, or Fukuyama. Yes, Rick Famuyiwa, who is the first African American to direct a Star Wars project. That's amazing to me. That's so awesome. He did a really good job. This definitely felt like someone who had experience directing live action had their hands on this, because there wasn't that silly animated style in terms of, direction and the way that the characters are kind of emote or animate a little bit too much. And with this, it felt more like balanced and structured, and it felt like someone who actually had some chops in the business came on behind the camera and directed this project. And I'm really excited to see what happens next. I mean, the next episode's not going to be till next Friday, so we have to wait a week now. We've been spoiled for 3 days. We got 2 episodes, which was absolutely incredible. And I think that all they can do now is just go up and up and up. And so honestly, guys, this was a solid episode of The Mandalorian. It's not amazing. It's not the best episode ever, but it's a solid episode that I really quite enjoyed, and I'm looking forward to what they're going to do next in the Mandalorian series, because there's so many different routes they can go. I think next week we're going to get I think there's going to be an epic confrontation between the Mandalorian and Werner Herzog's character. And so, yeah, maybe we'll learn a little bit more about the characters a bit, and they'll be more dynamic on screen in terms of character relationships that are being built. And I really hope that we get to see more of, Khalil, because I really like that character, and I don't know if we're going to see more of him maybe in the future. Maybe he'll kind of be an advisory type of person to the Mandalorian in terms of what he should do, or kind of like the moral compass in a way. And we'll just kind of have to wait and see what happens and how things will unfold. But there's 6 more episodes left of this season, guys, and I'm all for it. I cannot wait. But I'm also like, 6 episodes, that's gonna fly by, and I'm gonna be really sad when it's over. But then we got episode 9, so it's fine. Anyway, guys, what did you think of this episode? Let me know down below in the comment section of this video. Make sure, if you guys are new, right now, subscribe to my channel. I have spoken. You should subscribe to this channel because I do YouTube content. Duh. I do movie content. I do Star Wars stuff. There's going to be a lot more Star Wars stuff coming your way. I know I said the Rogue One review was going to be up yesterday. I am sorry. Again, my work schedule kind of threw me off. I am pretty much mostly like 65% done editing the Rogue One review that I did with Clayton. That should be up very shortly. I don't want to say either today or tomorrow and get your hopes up for that. Ford v Ferrari review is coming up today. I will be posting that a little bit later today. And then I'll also have reviews for Noel, AHS 84, and again, Rogue One. And hopefully I can record A New Hope within the next couple of days as well. So I've been kind of busy. And again, I want to apologize to you guys for saying one thing and then not doing it. And sometimes, lives just kind of get busy and schedules change. And so, you kind of have to switch things around and kind of maneuver your pieces on the board a little bit differently. So I wanted to get a review out there. We didn't get a lot of people on the stream, and that's okay. I hope a lot of you are watching afterwards, and you guys put your input down below on what you thought about this episode. Guys, I'm so grateful that I get to share my voice and my opinion on something that means so much to me, which is movies, and not just movies, but Star Wars. It's an amazing feeling knowing that I have a few of you who consistently watch, and so I want to thank you guys for that. And yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Nick__Acosta. Follow me on Letterboxd at Nicholas Acosta, and I will see you guys in my next video. I have spoken.